Okay, so in this one, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna go from point slope form to y-intercept form. So I taught you how to write in point slope form. Now we have to write in y-intercept form. These are the word descriptions, and then I'm gonna walk you through an example. So again, your slope here is m, so that's 2. So I'm gonna put down that number 2. So I'm gonna put down number 2 because that's there. And then we go through and x1, and remember, it doesn't matter, is going to be 4. So x1 is 4, or negative 4, excuse me. X1 is negative 4, and then you've got, oops, there you go, highlighter. And then we have y1 is 5. So we've got this to be 5. So now we're going to write this in point slope form. This is everything that I did in the last couple videos. So y, and then the I just told you, skip this. What's the opposite of negative 5? So the opposite of negative 5 ends up being, or positive 5 ends up being that negative 5. So the opposite of positive 5 here ends up being negative 5. And then you have equals, and then your slope. So our slope in this case is 2. So we plug in that slope. And then you're going to go x. And then in this case, the opposite of negative 4, the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. So you can go ahead and write that way because it's a little bit easier and a little bit faster to do. So now I'm just going to distribute the slope. That's that next little section. This says to go through, and you're going to distribute that slope. So when you distribute, remember you're going to multiply the 2, the slope, by everything inside that set of parentheses. So I'm going to multiply it by the 2. So I have 2x, and 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times a positive 4 is positive 8. And then everything else there is just going to be y minus 5 equals that. So I've distributed the slope. Now I have to solve for y. So when we go through and solve for y, I'm going to ignore this little piece right here. And I'm going to, instead of subtracting 5, I'm going to add 5. I'm going to add 5. And so now I get y is equal to 2x. And then 8 plus 5 ends up being, so 8 plus 5 in, I'm brain fart all of a sudden. So 8 plus 5 is 13. And that is where you've solved for y. And now you've found, this is where you have point slope form, and y equals mx plus b. So your y-intercept is 13. And now your slope is still 2. So nothing changed, but now your y-intercept is 13. So now we're going to do this where I'm giving you 2 points. And you have to find the slope. Same thing, we're going to do the slope formula. So y1 or y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So we're going to go through, we're going to find our slope. So y2, which is 4, minus y1, which is 1. And then 2, x2, minus y1, which is negative 4. So 4 minus 1 is 3. And a negative is a positive. So that's 2 plus 4, which is 6. Reduces to 1/2. And if you notice this, well, no, never mind. Sorry, I was thinking something else. So my first slope, that's 1/2. And then my x1, 4, y1, sorry, y1 is 1. And again, my slope, and so when I write my equation, y, the opposite of positive 1, y1, the opposite of positive 1 is minus 1, equals my slope, x, and then the opposite of -4 is +4. And then we go through and convert this. I'm going to go through and convert, and I'm going to have you guys do a 0.2 and see what we get. So we go through and convert, and so again, I pretty much have this. This is 1/2. This is, I don't know why I have this. I should have just not even had that, but whatever. And so now you've got this lovely thing. So y minus 1 is equal to 1/2 x plus 4. And remember, it says that I need to go through and I need to distribute. So half of x is half of x. Half of 4 is 2. And then you still have y minus 1. So then it says, oh, but my directions up here says, oh, I got to solve for y. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to solve for y. So now I'm going to add 1. I'm going to add 1. So now y is equal to 1/2 x, and then 2 plus 1 is 3. Oops. I wrote all that. I mean, I said all that, but you didn't get to see my paper. And if you were in class, you guys would have yelled at me, I know. So I want you to pause for a little bit, and I want you to try to do the other one. I want you to actually literally pause so you can see if you get the exact same thing. So I definitely want you to pause and go through and try to do 0.2 and see what we get. Okay, so if you look to see that I did this, notice, and this is kind of like your little check to see if you got them right, notice that they're exactly the same thing. So this should honestly make sense, because if you had a line and you had to graph your points, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and you went up 1. So this is 0.1. And then you had to graph your other points. You're going to go over 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4. And if this is the line, shouldn't it, if I do everything perfectly, but I didn't, shouldn't it be on there? Shouldn't both points be on that line? And so if I graph my line perfectly, like that's 0.3. That's your y-intercept right there, is at 3, but I'm not the perfect drawer. So this right here is one of those things that you would expect, and you would expect for those to be exactly the same thing. So this is for converting your point slope form into y-intercept.